Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Force here with some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today we will be taking a look at a series of games between MC and the StC. This is going to be a Terran versus Protoss here on the map Entombed Valley. It's been about a week since the last TVP that I commentated, and I figured, hey, I'll try to get some of that out for you. I went online and I realized, oh my gosh, there are a bunch of replays from the recent MLG Winter event. And this is a great opportunity to get you guys some really solid games at some very high-end play. So hopefully this turns out to be just that. Let's get a little bit of recent tournament information here. The StC recently took third place at MLG Orlando. This was last October. Also in last October, he was a semifinalist at the IGN Pro League Season number 3. His opponent over here in the upper left-hand position of Entombed Valley is MC. MC recently took first place at IM Season 6, the World Championship. This was in March, and also took first place at the Home Story Cup number 4 this January. So both these players very strong, making strong showings in some fairly large tournaments. This should be an exciting game, something I am looking forward to. I guess I say that every game, though, so it probably takes away from the oomph behind that statement. No big deal. MC drops his pylon with the first probe, scouts the lower left, and then is now moving to scout the lower right position. We do have a refinery coming up here from the StC. StC also trying to get his wall off up. Is lowering the depot as he's moving out with that first SCV. We do have that first probe. They're going to pass each other. Hello. One SCV gets a shot off there on the initial probe. MC moving forward, scouting the building refinery, now pulls back, and he will be attempting to harass the SCV building that first racks. Now take a look right up here. We do have a second racks building, the StC, with some 2 racks opening here. Could be planning some early game aggression. We'll see if MC ends up scouting that out or not. All right, probe scout moves out of the main. SCV in hot pursuit. We have no scouting workers right now for the StC. He has done no scouting whatsoever. Really focused on getting this opening up and running here. Orbital command is coming on through, churning out that first Marine. Second rack's almost done building. We do have a reactor. Ooh, the probe pulls forward and almost scouts it, but ends up not. He's actually just scouting for the expansion. He wanted to see if there's a building expansion, but there's not. Again, as we can see, this is a second racks, and MC not scouting that out early on. This could be a problem, as this Marine should be able to deny any further scouting from that. Now back over here, we do have a Zealot coming on through, and he will be able to push forward a little bit. However, we do have a Tech Lab coming down over here on this racks, and with that, we are probably going to expect some Marauders here from the StC. Also, Reactor now finishing on that first racks, allowing him to pump out those double Marines. Trying to pull forward with the Worker. Worker pushes into the main. And MC back in the main now is going to be able to get some further scouting. Oh, the Marine's going to be trying to corner him right now, and is going to be able to do so with a bit of micro. He should be able to take that out, and there you go. Finishes the wall off there by lifting up that depot and takes out the scouting worker. Now we do have MC now pulling on over with his Zealot. He's actually checking for a hidden racks over here. There is a hidden racks, but it is up here in the natural expansion. And as the Zealot pulls forward, he's going to encounter that Marauder and all those Marines. And now immediately MC realizes what is going on. He knows for a fact that there is a second racks that he's not scouted, and spotting that Marauder, because he spotted that this first racks had a reactor on it, and obviously only Marines can come out of that. So seeing that Marauder means, all right, there's definitely a second racks being built. And that means we're going to have some early pressure here. He's going to be chasing down to that first Zealot. SCV's trying to get a few shots off there as the Zealot is trying to escape. Now, we did see a building expansion over here, but MC actually managed to kill that off. He canceled that expansion, realizing that this pressure is coming. I know he didn't actually move the camera over, but if you noticed on the minimap, there was an expansion building down here. And obviously in the production tab, you could have seen that as well. And there you go, trying to move straight in the main right now. He's going to be pulling forward and dropping the bunker, and this is a problem right now. MC cannot let this finish. Pulling down with his workers. He's going to be able to try to get a surround on these units here from the StC. Force him back, allowing the Stalker to now focus down on that SCV. Actually pulling all the way forward. SCV gets dropped. So have a few more Marines, and the Marauder, however, the Marauder at very low health isn't going to be able to do too much more damage, and is now forced back. That one very low Stalker. Reinforcements streaming across the map as well. He's going to be continuing to try to push on in here. The bunker almost destroyed. Decides to cancel that off, get some of those resources back. Marauder pulling back out of the range of the Stalker, gets picked off at the last moment. Few more Marines pulling forward. That is going to force that Stalker back. Some reinforcements here, 2 sentries and a Stalker. That probe was attempting to drop the expansion again. However, he gets taken out. And we still have more and more units here for the StC. Very impressive early game pressure there. Let's take a look at the resources lost. They are about even. Now, do realize that MC was planning that expansion earlier, had to cancel that as a result of this early pressure here from the StC, and the StC is going to keep it up. As you can see, there's no transition planned right now. He is continuing to come out with some SCVs. However, he's churning out those Marines and Marauders and has them rallied straight across the map towards this ramp here. Here we go, SCVs and Marines and Marauders pushing up. Marines do now have that combat shield upgrade, which is going to help them quite a bit. Force field wall, pretty decent, but without a lot of zealots, didn't end up actually doing that much damage. A few more Marines still alive, trying to pick off the sentries here, but extra Stalkers being warped in will be forcing back these Marines. Not too much they can do about that. Some more Marine reinforcements. The Marauders are going to assist in trying to push back this force of MC here. Stop him from picking off the rest of his units. There you go, a little bit of micro pulling back both the Marauder and that Stalker, trying to save them as they get low on health. More reinforcements coming out here from MC, and looks like MC is preparing with some counter-aggression. Still nothing here in terms of a transition. The StC looks like he may be planning to drop an expansion, but he is dealing with some counter-aggression here from MC, which is causing him a little bit of a headache. As you can see, no stim pack research. He does have that combat shield and those concussive shells, but that is it. Marauder gets taken out, and with the extra reinforcements is able to force back MC. So MC should be heading back home, and I wouldn't be too surprised if the StC also decides to head back home. Really no reason to keep up this aggression. They're both kind of, I mean, they're got to be about even still. They're about even, just kind of trading blows back and forth. We have the expansion building over here for the StC. Big advantage right now for MC, though, is he has got this up and running, and he's going to be taking advantage of that strong economy as a result. You want to take a look at the number of workers we got in play. 35 probes, only 21 SCVs. We did see the StC pull a lot of SCVs during those engagements. How many did he lose? He only lost 7, which is actually the same amount of workers that MC has lost. But pulling those workers off the line, I think he also cut worker production for a short while during the early stage of that aggression. The StC actually scouting out right now with the Marauder. He wants to see if MC has a hidden expansion anywhere, or is he just looking for proxy pylons? I think he might just be looking for proxy pylons. Also wants to see if we see any circumventing forces. There we go. So realizing that MC may not move truck straight across the middle, with this Marauder, he would see if MC decided to go down his ramp and take this back alley over here. So with that Marauder, he will be scouting any pressure from this back alley that would just wrap itself all the way around, avoiding that Zelnaga tower in the center of the map, and that's just something that he does want to scout for. I suppose with that thought in mind, though, it wouldn't hurt to put a Marauder over here as well to scout for something from that same angle. The StC pulling back with his Marauder just as a probe scout is making its way on across, and they may actually end up crossing paths. We got a few units now pulling on over here as well. I do wonder if he is just scouting for expansions with that. This is hilarious. If we get the probe trucking on straight towards all this bio, planning to drop a pylon right down here, and he is just going to completely avoid the Marines and Marauders. That is a riot. Oh my gosh. Now we got this pylon being built, and he is spotting the fact that these rocks are getting destroyed, so yeah, he's just going to cancel off that pylon. That was a hilarious moment, though. Transition right now into medevacs. We do have that reactor building on the factory. That will be hot swapped right now, so we'll be Marine, Marauder, medevac, stim pack research also coming on through. There is the pylon, decides that is a bad spot, ends up placing it down here instead. This might be a little too close, especially if the StC plans to get a quick third. I mean, he's not doing that at the moment, but he did break down those rocks, alluding to the fact that he's planning to do that at some point, relatively soon. I guess relatively would be the key word, though. 2 forges get laid down as MC is preparing to go for those mass upgrades. He does also have the Charge Zealot upgrade coming on through. Wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a Twilight Council and some High Templar and Archon action after that. Marine scouting this probe is going to be able to do a bit of damage. It kills it off. So we do have a pylon up here and the pylon down here as well. Both of these will be used for harass later on in the game. Scouting Factory is going to be pulling straight across and preparing to move on into this into this expansion location, and with that he will be scouting the expansion, but that's about, I don't know, half an hour from now. By the time that factory does end up getting over there, we got a Zealot positioned right over here for some scouting action as well. Factory continuing to move across the map also right now with his bio. The StC is taking control of the center of the map. Charge Zealots, a bunch of sentries as well. What does he have for Stalker right now? About 8 Stalkers in play. I don't even know where those guys are. There they are. That's going to be to try to stop any medevacs from doing any dropping, just from being that effective. And speaking of which, we do have some medevacs loaded up right over here, preparing to do that very thing. Charge Zealots, as well as some hallucinated Colossus, as we did see that hallucination research finish. Going to be moving up, killing off the pylon, and then lifting up his forces and pulling back without a lot of anti-air, without Blink Stalkers. He's not able to catch up to that. And speaking of which, we do have that Blink research right now coming out of the Twilight Council. Where's the Templar Archives, though? There it is, Templar Archives coming out. So High Templar plus Archons will be that transition. Pylon doesn't scout the medevacs, however, he is ready for this. A couple Stalkers, and realizing that the StC is going to avoid from dropping with his medevacs in that position. No reason to lose those full medevacs. Trying to force the cancel over here of the pylon. He does. Lifts off his forces and pulls out of there. At the same time, we get a force movement across over here with the bulk of the army of the MC over here. This could be a problem. He's going to move up, stim up. He's going straight for the forges. Is he going to drop it before the upgrade? No. Decides to pull back and deal with this. Medevacs could be dropping. Yes, they are going to do that at the same time. Ooh, if he had moved in at the exact same time as that push, this could have actually forced a cancel over here, but ends up pulling it at a different time. Still has his forces over here they could engage with. Forced to lift off with all the Stalkers. Leaves 2 Marines behind. We got a few forces over here. Force field wall, though, traps a bunch of the bio. Nice lift off from the StC. Saves almost everything there with that lift off. That was impressive. That looked very bad for a moment, but the StC very quickly lifting off his forces, ended up saving a ton of units. 2 medevacs filled, to be exact, worth of units is what he saved there. And he only lost 2 Marines in that drop over there. Although he really hasn't done too much damage, you can see they're still about even in terms of resources lost. Not like he killed off a ton of workers. In fact, the StC now down 10 workers this game. Pretty nice back and forth, though. Again, it was pretty much even in terms of the damage dealt, which wasn't a lot, to be quite frank with you. But I am very impressed with the StC lifting off his forces there. That, again, that could have been much, much worse than it was. Lots of Vikings moving across the map. I'm pretty sure he spotted those hallucinated Colossus, but didn't know that they were hallucinations, and he is coming out with a ton of these here. Just the 4 at the moment. Continuing to pump out these medevacs as well, making that transition into Ghost, which is going to be very strong against the High Templar. Clearing the energy, trying to prevent any storms from going down. Vikings going to be moving across now. They did some scouting action as well, looking for a possible expansion. And they will be pulling on into here. Ooh, planning to land back there and do a little bit of harass. 2 Zealots may be a little bit of an issue for him. Got a photon cannon down over there. Units moving back. We got a large push across the map here for the StC. He does have these Vikings preparing to land. Going to do a bit of harass over here, and at the same time hit the 3rd. And there he goes, scouting with the medevac first. Vikings doing a bit of worker harass here, and the push goes straight to the 3rd, stimming up. Let's see how much damage he is able to do. Force is now going to pull back. Feedback slow down on the medevacs, killing off a few of them. Storms, huge storms on the bio. Tries to pull back and does a decent job. He lost a bit of his bio, but he's got enough right now to force MC back. Force field walls get dropped, and one of them does by that Archon. The StC holding and trying to do as much damage as he can, but he is finally going to be able to be overwhelmed here by MC, as MC gets some reinforcements, a bit of bio reinforcements, trying to assist over here as well, but MC managing to hold on and not take too much damage. Didn't lose his expansion, which is really what the StC was going for. He was attempting to kind of bait all of the forces of MC over here and then drop this Nexus very quickly. However, MC was able to respond quick enough, and there was a pretty short distance between these 2 bases, so it wasn't really an issue for MC to get over there and defend very, very quickly. Pretty impressive there, and MC will be now pushing up into the 3rd of the StC. Let's see what he is able to do for damage. Bio reinforcements down here. Forces the lift off. Going to be losing a few workers. 19 workers killed so far by MC. Moving forward with those Archons, getting some splash damage there on that clumped up bio. Without any more splash, he's actually going to have a little bit of an issue doing too much more damage. There are some High Templars. Speaking of splash damage, we got a forward pylon here. Ton of units being warped in. A few High Templar over here. few more Zealots get warped in. Big Storm on the bio. The StC takes some hefty damage. He is not going to be able to do too much here at this expansion. And this push looking to be very effective here. The StC calls the GG, realizing he does not have the forces. He is getting overwhelmed right now. You can see MC with 60 army supply as opposed to the 24. And really, MC could have also just peeled off with about 2 of his Zealots and done tremendous amounts of damage here at any point. He had more than enough forces to be able to sacrifice a few of his units to take out this expansion. I think the StC realized he was too far behind, and calls the GG. Alright my friends, that was game number 1 here between the StC and MC. We will be moving on to game 2 in just one moment. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep on it.